Right, because we can
cut out
can
the
edit a lot
spaghetti
of it.
part. Yeah, we can attempt.
The stuff in the middle, I might be able to cut and paste sections of it.
Okay.
We'll see.
Nah, I'll just turn it in.
Okay.
All right. I don't want to do this. I don't know how to say it. Okay.
Well, I didn't get to look at the questions ahead of time. What does good mean?
All right. Okay, I just have to introduce it. All right. Hello. This is my philosophy interview, and this is my dad, Jim Summers. And so my first question to you is, what does good mean?
What do you mean by good? You mean like good food? Like yum? Or do you mean like a good person or a good thing?
Like, what is your definition of good? Like, what makes something good?
Well, good could mean like mediocre, like, yeah, it's good. Or it can be like, how's that cup of coffee? It's good. How you feeling? I'm feeling good. Is that a good person? That's a good person. So all those mean different things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So a good person that's really good. If I'm doing good. That's mediocre.
So what do you define, like, what does a good person look like to you?
I think a good person cares about other people and does the right thing. They're ethical. They're moral. And like I said, they care about other people. They do the right thing even when no one's looking.
Can you give me an example of a good person in your life?
I can give you a lot of examples of good people in my life. Your mom's a good person. She cares about other people. She goes out of her way to help other people. She has high standards, which is good. There, see, I used the word good. And she's someone that you would want to be around. That makes a good person, I think.
All right. Kind of a follow-up question. Do you think a good person can do bad things? Like, are they still good?
It depends on what the bad thing is and why they did it. You know, you might do something that other people think is bad, but maybe they felt they had no choice, but they're a good person. So I think a good person can do something that's considered to be bad and still be a good person, but I think the intent has to be not to do a bad thing, just to do a bad thing or to hurt someone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of examples of doing what people think is a bad thing, but they do it to help someone. So don't ask me for an example right now. But yeah, I think a good person can do what's considered to be a bad thing and still be a good person.
And kind of going opposite, is there a way, like, for, like, someone who's considered to be bad to kind of redeem themselves?
Always. I don't think there's the old phrase, there's no such thing as a bad child, just children who do bad things. I think that applies to everyone. I think there's no such thing in my mind as, well, and there's some bad people out there. Never mind, I'll change that. But can bad people redeem themselves? Absolutely, and they do it all the time. I think sometimes if they have the right people in their life to help them understand that they're going down the wrong path and the damage they're doing to other people, and sometimes they get it. And there are some people who start off doing bad things like in their teen years or early 20s or when they're younger, and then they realize what they've been doing, and then they might feel guilty for the rest of their lives for having done it, but they want to make up for it, and so they try to do good things every chance they get. So yeah, bad people can redeem themselves.
Okay. And then...
I did.
What did you do?
That's for a different video.
Okay. And then there's kind of this question that's been around for a while, is that are people born good or bad? It's kind of the difference between the philosopher John Locke, who believed that people are born tabula rasa, which means blank slate. And like whether they are good or bad comes from their life experiences. And then there's people like, what's his face?
Jeffrey Dahmer?
Thomas Hobbes, who believed that people were naturally born evil. Like,
All people?
all people were naturally born with evil intentions. Like, what do you think? Do you think people are born good or bad?
I think for the most part, I agree with the part that people are born kind of with a blank slate. And I think nurture versus nature is more accurate. Although there are some people who we've seen people with really good parents, really wonderful people who grow up to do bad things. So it's not totally nurture. There's some people are just wired differently. So I think that it's a combination of the two. But I think for the most part, people are born with pretty much a blank slate, or maybe even, I would even say the opposite, maybe with more of a bent towards wanting to be nice people and to help people. But what you see and what you experience every day as you're growing up is going to influence you a lot.
What makes you feel that people are they will more likely want to do good?
In my mind, it just seems more natural to want to help others. And I would say most of my friends, or all of my friends, feel that way. I just feel like when you look at a little baby, I don't think, or a little toddler, I don't think that they're trying to be evil. I don't think they're trying to be mean. But I think they can be taught that way. I feel like my personal feelings are that people are good inherently, with the exception of a few that just have, like I said, their wiring's a little off.
Mm-hmm. Do you think society plays a role into who is good and who is bad?
I think it plays a huge role into it. Movies, commercials. This isn't an example of good or bad, but it's an example of how society or social media or whatever can impact how people react. It would be like there's a credit card commercial where people are buying everything, and everything's about material things, and the commercial says you deserve it. Whereas if you might be raised to say that you don't need to blow money on everything, that you should save money, right, for the future and save it for things you need, not just blow it on everything you want. But society's telling you, go ahead and spend all the money. It's okay to be in debt because everybody is. The same thing happens with good and evil. You know, there are a lot of movies that might portray people doing evil things to people all the time, and those seem to be popular movies. Those are more popular movies probably than like love stories, right? So one actor said on late night TV that he makes a lot more money every movie that he's in where he's holding a gun than if he's not holding a gun. So if it's a violent movie, he makes a lot more money, which means more people go to see it. So I think society, I think Hollywood, I think social media all have a really big impact on how people develop.
So then, who do you believe has the authority to say what is good and what is bad?
Or you mean like law enforcement, government, things like that?
Kind of up to your interpretation,
Who has the authority to say what's good and bad?
because obviously we have laws.
We have laws that need to be followed.
That need to be followed. But then would you say, as a higher power, would you say that God decides? Or would you say it's a choice that each individual makes?
Well, I definitely believe in God, and I believe that God gave us free will. If you look at the Ten Commandments, it gives us some direction right there, things we should not ever do, right? And I think that kind of points you in the right direction right there. But people have to decide for themselves. And I think inside inherently you know what's good and what's not. You know, is it good to stop and help someone that's having trouble? Somebody drops their groceries, an old lady drops her groceries. Is it a good thing to stop and help her? Or do you just laugh at her and walk on? You know, which one of those is good? You know inside what's good. So I think, again, it goes back to nurture versus nature. If you grow up and your parents are always saying, look at the idiot that dropped their groceries, and then they laugh, and then you think that's okay, so then you laugh. Right?
Yeah,
You're laughing.
exactly.
See? So I don't know who your parents are, but they're not doing a very good job.
Alright, kind of like not summarize, but a conclusion for all of this is, like, what do you, in your opinion, what do you think is a good life?
What is a good life? Well, kind of a lot of what I said. If you're good to other people, good. If you treat other people well, treat people like you would want to be treated, with kindness, compassion. I think that's a good life. If when you die, if people really miss you because of all the good things you did, I think you had a good life.
Do you have any other thoughts?
I'm hungry.
Alright.